Hello everyone, this is CA Rekha. So in the today's session, I'll be discussing audit documentation. The topic of audit documentation is also coming as an essay 230. So in the previous sessions, we were discussing about the nature, scope and the basics of auditing, professional ethics, code of professional ethics, then audit plan, what's an audit program, audit strategy. Then we came to analytical procedure. This is the audit documentation and this is coming as your third chapter in the ICAI study material. So first we'll cover in this session what is audit documentation, what is the necessity of audit documentation, what are the different types of audit documentation, what decides the nature and extent of audit documentation that has to be done, then different kinds of working papers that is being maintained by the auditor, for how long it has to be maintained. So all the things will come to. Now, firstly, what is audit documentation? So before I explain what audit documentation is all about, what is the process of giving a particular report? First, the auditor, when he starts with the audit, he'll be applying some audit procedures. So these audit procedures, the nature, timing and the scope of these audit procedures will be decided by the auditor and some audit procedures will be applied. Now, depending on the audit procedures applied, some audit evidence will be obtained. And depending on whether the audit evidence is sufficient and appropriate for the particular risk assessment of the entity, and depending on the auditor's judgment, he will come to certain conclusions. And these conclusions will be communicated through the auditor's report to the management. This is a normal flow of operations. Now, say for example, I am going to a particular engagement team is given the audit of a particular entity. Engagement team or engagement partner is nothing but the engagement partner is a person who has a complete authority of the performance of an audit for a particular entity. He is responsible for that particular audit and the performance of the audit. An engagement team is a staff, including the team members, the staff and the partners who are responsible for that particular audit and who are carrying out the audit. So suppose if an engagement team is assigned the work of an audit of a particular entity. The particular engagement team is going, conducting the audit, vouching is done, verification of the books are done, all the other verifications, whatever is required is done, reconciliation, all the process is being carried out, all the evidences are being taken, and finally the auditor collates all the information and finally he gives the audit report. This is a normal procedure. Now, say after a few months or say after a particular year, there is some kind of a inspection or some kind of a inspection that is being ordered to that particular entity. Now, there is some kind of say some news has been leaked out that there is some kind of a misconduct or some operations are being carried out in the company which is not in the normal course of business of the company, or some for that particular purpose some verification is being carried out by a third party or maybe by the government. So what is the first thing they'll check? They'll check whether what are the things that has to be covered in that particular verification. They'll also come to what is a auditor's report say about the financial position of the company, whether it is representing a true and fair view of the affairs of the company. So all these things will be checked. Now, the important aspect. Say there is some kind of a discrepancy that the third party or the people who has come for inspection has found out with regard to auditor's report. And the auditor has to convince them that particular audit procedures were applied and whatever conclusions were reached, it was on the basis of the audit procedures applied and the audit evidence obtained. How will the auditor prove his point? So there should be something to prove his point. So there comes the relevance of audit documentation. So auditor has to make sure that whatever audit procedures that is being applied, whatever audit evidence that is being obtained, and whatever conclusions that are reached is based on this particular audit evidence is all documented. So audit documentation is nothing but it is recording all the audit procedures that are applied, whatever audit evidence that is being gathered, and whatever conclusions that has been reached is it based on the basis of the audit evidences that is obtained. So in order to get an idea or in order to prove the point, audit documentation is very much necessary. So it is nothing but a record of audit procedures applied, audit evidence that is obtained, and the conclusions reached by the auditor based on which his report is given to the management. So all these constitute audit documentation. So audit documentation will be in the form of working papers. It is one kind of audit documentation, working papers. It is what is working papers. So we'll come to what are the different types of working papers. We'll see what is an audit notebook, what is a completion memoranda. So all these are part of your audit documentation. Now, one of the main vital points of this audit documentation is that, or objective of the audit documentation, I can say, it is actually necessary so that the auditor can prove, or it is necessary to make sure, or to notify that whatever conclusions are reached are on the basis of the audit evidence, or on the audit evidence is obtained, or whatever conclusions that the auditor has reached is on the basis of the audit evidence obtained, and there is a complete fulfillment of the objective. And again, this particular documentation also serves one more purpose. What is another purpose that is served by the documentation? That the audit has been carried out as per the essays. Now, if someone is coming and telling this particular audit, it has been not carried out with respect to the guidelines that is given by the institute, or with respect to the guidance note, or with respect to any of the standards and auditing are not being complied with. If proper documentation is maintained, then this particular, whatever this allegation with regard to non-compliance to auditing standards or non-compliance to guidance notes can be easily cleared off. So this is a main objective of audit documentation. Now, to what extent the audit documentation has to be done, what is the form, content and the extent of audit documentation that has to be done, depends on certain factors. So what are certain factors? So normally I am going to audit for a very small entity and also for a very multinational entity. Okay, so will I do the same kind of audit documentation for both? No, definitely not. So the first factor that decides how much audit documentation that should be done is, one is the size and the complexity of the entity. Bigger the size of the entity, more is the number of transactions, more is the number of vouchers or invoice to be checked, more is the kind of audit procedures that has to be applied, more evidence has to be obtained. In such cases, my audit documentation might be more. So first is the size and complexity of the entity. Next is what? Once you're going for an entity, depending on the size and complexity, the audit documentation might go. Second thing is what? The audit procedures that are being applied. So what are the extent of audit procedures that is being applied to that particular, by that particular engagement team members? What are the extent of audit procedures that is being applied by the team members? That is the second thing. Now, third one is what? Third one is a significance of the audit evidence that is obtained. So, higher this audit evidence, some audit evidence is obtained that has some kind of a significance while arriving at conclusions that has to be mandatorily noted down by the team members. So, depending on that particular evidence only, I am going to reach a conclusion. In such cases also, that will affect the kind of documentation that has to be given. For example, the evidence whatever I obtain is not very significant. It is like, or maybe sometimes I'm not obtaining evidence also. In such cases, is it necessary that I'm not doing any documentation? No. Again, I have to check 2 or 3 points. What? Sometimes evidence might not be obtained, but the risk of misstatement as assessed by the auditor might be more. In such cases, when the risk of misstatement is more, or when some kind of exceptions or some kind of errors are being observed, then even though I am not getting any appropriate evidence for the same, that has to be documented. So other fourth and fifth point is significance of the audit evidence that is obtained. That is the third point. Next is the errors or the irregularities that is identified. Depending on that, or the risk of material misstatement, that has been assessed by the particular auditor. So these are required. And sometimes even if there is a, like, depending on the audit procedures, or maybe depending on the evidence that is collected, or sometimes even there is no risk of material misstatement, but sometimes I need to document everything from start to end. Why? Because I cannot reach a conclusion just seeing one figure, 1 or 2 figures. I have to see a series of valuations, a series of analysis to reach the conclusion. Depending on all the factors, the auditor makes a judgment on whether the particular entity's financials represent a true and fair view. So in such cases also, even though there is not much risk of material misstatement, there is not much evidence obtained. In order to reach a conclusion also, I need to do a documentation. So our nature, extent and the form of audit documentation also depends on this particular factor. Then last is the methodology or the audit tools used. Depending on what tool you use for doing the audit, that also has an effect on the audit documentation. So all these decide the form, extent and the nature of audit documentation. Next, what is the significance of audit documentation? Actually, this should be said before this one. What is the significance of audit documentation? Why do I need to do an audit documentation? Is there any necessity that an audit documentation is required? Yes. So, first and primary importance is what? Why audit documentation is required? It is a proof that the auditor is not negligent. He has carried out his duties or has carried out the audit in accordance with the essays in auditing and also has fulfilled the overall objective for the particular audit. That is a primary objective. Second is what? It helps the engagement team to plan and perform the audit. So what are the areas to be covered? Whether all the essays are taken into consideration while doing the audit or verification. How long is the audit to be carried out? How much resources has to be deployed? All these things helps to plan and perform the audit. Again, what? Not only plan and perform the audit. The audit has started, the planning has been done, the audit has started. But now there should be someone to direct who should do what are the work to be done by whom. Then somebody should be there to supervise. Not just asking them or allotting them the work will suffice. We should also supervise the work that is being carried out. And finally, what? I have to make sure that they are, first I'll allot the work, I'll make sure they are working, and finally I'll check whatever they have done is correct. So finally reviewing the work. So second purpose is helping the engagement team to direct, supervise and review the work. That is the third. Next, what? Suppose I am sending a particular person for doing some verification, audit of a particular entity, and they have completed the audit and they are showing me, say suppose they are not maintaining any documentation. Tomorrow some issue pops up, or I am going to give the report. I need to make sure that the thing or whatever things are that is being told to me by my engagement team is correct, and I have to include in the report. I'll include also. Tomorrow some issue comes up. That means something is wrong with the report that I have given. Now, whom will I catch hold of regarding that particular work to be done? I don't know, because a group has gone for audit. They have made some observations. They have asked me, shown me their observations, and then it is done. I have given the report based on that, collaborated all the evidences and given a report based on that. So tomorrow, whom will I catch hold of? Whose work will I know has gone for a toss? So in such cases, again, audit documentation has its significance. It affixes accountability for the engagement team members. Each person will be accountable for what work they are going to do. Tomorrow they cannot tell that I haven't done that work. It is like signature, affixing a signature. Once you affix a signature, what is the one quality of a signature? It is non-repudiation. Tomorrow I cannot tell that I haven't signed. It is not me who has signed, because it is assigned means authorization means I have read through whatever there is written in the document. I have understood it clearly, and I am with my knowledge only the things are happening. So it is my consent or it is my authorization. Similarly, working paper affixes a responsibility or accountability on that particular person or engagement team member who is carrying out the audit. Next, what is another important thing? It helps for future quality reviews and checks or external investigations. Tomorrow there is a quality review on that. On the basis of what I will do a review? There should be some kind of a documentation in hand, right? Depending on the documentation, I will check what date, what has been done, what are the areas that has been covered in the audit, who has done the audit, what is the extent of audit work done on that particular area, who has reviewed the audit, what is the extent of audit review that has been carried out, when the audit review has been carried out, whether conclusions are reached based on these evidences. So all these things happen. So on the quality review part also it helps. Or external inspections, that also will. Next is what? Next is I need to maintain a record of few things which has a significance in the future. So maybe next year also I am doing the particular audit of that particular. It is a continuing audit. I am doing the audit of a particular particular entity. So in such cases, next year I may refer to the previous year's audit documentation to check is there any kind of significant matters that I have to look into during the current year that was noted in the previous year. So certain things or issues were noted in the previous year. I have to fix whether those things has been fixed as promised by the management. Today, this particular audit period, whether such things are again happening, is there any cascading effect, I have to check. So it is also maintaining a record of significant matters. Next is what? Guiding the audit team members. I said it is also used for planning and performing the audit and also making them accountable for their work. So all these things are the main uses of your audit documentation. One is to prove that the auditor is not negligent, the audit is being carried out as per the auditing standards, and also makes sure that he has filled his overall objectivity for the audit. Second is what? It helps or guides the engagement team members. Then helps the engagement team members to plan and perform the audit. Third is what? Once they have planned and started performing what? Direct helps the audit engagement team members to direct, supervise and review the work. Next is helpful in doing quality reviews and external inspections, and also maintaining a record of significant matters that has to be carried out for the next audit. So all these things, and also making the person accountable for his actions. So all these things are the significance of doing a audit documentation, and this particular question has been tested several times in your exams. So mark this as important. What is the significance of doing an audit documentation? And the form content that has also been tested. So what decides the form content and extent of audit documentation that has been done? So both the questions have been asked. Now, who prepares the audit documentation? Is it the client or the auditor? It is a responsibility of the auditor to make sure there is an audit documentation that is present. So we have one standard, XQC. XQC is a quality control standard which requires all the firms to establish what some policies and procedures on how they are doing the audit documentation, how the audit final file is being assembled. All these things, they require certain procedures to be established. So there is a separate standard itself for that, quality control standard for this purpose. Then what? How do I do the audit documentation? Is it in physical form or electronic form? I can do it either way. It can either be in physical form or in the electronic form. It can be stored in physical or electronic form. It has to be done by the auditor. Auditor has to do audit, not the client. And suppose in certain cases, the audit client staff might do the audit document, working papers. Say for example, certain we have asked for certain queries, and these queries has to be answered by them. For as a response to those queries, they might give us some information. This also forms part of your working paper. Say for example, I am asking the particular management, I want a report regarding like say what is the total collection during the particular year. So they are giving me some kind of a report, and this report also constitutes your working paper. I can include this as a part of my working paper. So what will be the format of a working paper, or what should be included in a working paper? I said working paper is mandatory. There are factors that is deciding how a working paper should be. So now, what are the things to be included in a working paper? So working paper, firstly, it should contain, you think in a way like when you're going for an audit, I have to document whatever I am doing. So what are the things I will be documenting? First thing is what? I'll document the client name or the entity name I am going to audit. So first thing is the client name or the entity name. Second is what? The audit period covered. So without mentioning the audit period, that working paper I would say is useless, because you have to understand for what period or when I have done that particular audit, and this working paper is relating to that particular period. So in order to make sure that only I am doing a working paper. So working paper should include the audit period that is covered under that, and subject area that is being covered, or the area of audit, which area I am auditing. Say the entity has n number of branches, which branch I am auditing. This working paper is for which branch, or has n number of product, which product is being taken into consideration. That has to be mentioned. So next is a subject area. Then coming to the person who is doing the working paper, or person who is doing the audit. Who is doing what? So the person who is applying the audit procedures, when he is creating the audit procedure, when he is applying the audit procedures, when the audit evidence is being obtained. So the date of applying the audit procedures, the date of that particular name of that particular person, and the date of applying the audit procedures. Now, once the date and the name, now next is what? I have to make sure that he is accountable for his actions. So signature of that particular person. Now, signature, the name and the date in which that things are being carried out is being mentioned. Now, next thing is what? Some person should verify whatever work is done. So, if the person who has done or he has done that particular work, even if he is wrong, some person who is verifying his work should point out that. Sometimes, if there is no proper verification, it will go for a toss. So even the conclusion, whatever the auditor reaches, may be wrong. So, it is a two-step process. Not only the person who is doing the audit, but also the person who is verifying has a responsibility. So next is the person who is doing the review. Who is the person? Name of the person doing the review, date on which the review is being carried out, and the signature of that particular person. So all these things will be included, and any other important things that is coming to the notice of that particular engagement team member, and those having a significant importance. We will see what are those matters that require importance, and those all the things has to be entered in your working file. Now, coming to this working paper file, once the working paper file is done, or this next important thing is assembly of this particular working paper file. Assembly means what? It is an administrative process, purely administrative process. So once the auditing is done, verification is done, the auditor is going to give the report, the auditor has given the report. Now what I have to do? All the working papers, whatever has been given to me by my engagement team members, I have to make sure it is being filed, it has been assembled, or else one paper will go in one direction. So I have to make sure that the working papers are assembled well. So this process is called as the assembly of the final audit file. Assembly of final audit file. It is a purely administrative process. Auditor has to assemble the audit documentation into an audit file. So as previously said, SQC1, it requires the auditor to a particular firm to make sure that there are processes and policies that has been laid with respect to the assembly of the final audit file. So it is not, I said it isn't purely administrative process. So will there be any kind of documentation at that stage? It does not require any performance of new audit procedures or any kind of new conclusions to be reached. It is just I am assembling whatever already prepared documentation is there, I am assembling that. Now, will there be any changes to the audit documentation during the assembly time? Will there be any changes to the audit documentation? I said already whatever is being done, only I am calculating that and forming it as part of an assembly. Now, will there be any changes? Yes, there could be changes. So there are few circumstances under which there could be some changes to the documentation during the final assembly stage. So this is again another important question that has been tested in the exams many times. What are the circumstances? So when I am sorting, or when I am collating, or when I am cross-referencing the working papers, that is one scenario. Sorting, collating, or cross-referencing the working papers. Second scenario is what? Sometimes the auditor himself might have obtained some audit evidence. It is not the engagement team member. Auditor itself would have obtained some audit evidence at the final stage of the audit also. So he wants to include that also in the particular audit working file. So that also will be included. Then what? Sometimes the person who is doing a particular verification might have documented something. Sometimes it is reviewed by a person and he would have found something more to it. Some information would have superseded that particular information. So in that case also, if I need to delete any discarded or superseded documentation, that is also being allowed. Then last is what? Signing of the completion checklist relating to the assembly file. So whatever I have to collate, whether I have collated or not, that I have to sign off the completion checklist. So all these things will be done in the these are the changes that have been permitted. So all these. So now coming to the retention or custody of the working paper. Before retention, custody. So here it is the duty of the auditor to make sure that reasonable care is being taken for keeping the working papers safe and confidential. So it is a duty of the auditor to make sure that the working papers are confidential and it is under the custody of the auditor. Retention. Now, for how long should I retain these audit papers? So this year I am going to do 5 audits. Okay, each audit I have a set of working papers. Now, is it enough, like after the working or after the report, after the particular audit is over, I throw away the working papers? I have to maintain this working papers for a particular time. So what is the time limit? What is the retention time? So retention time is for 7 years. 7 years from the date of auditor's report. So from the period of 7 years or until it meets the needs of the auditor's practice or any other legal or regulatory requirements. So say there is some legal or regulatory requirements which needs to recheck the working papers or work done by the auditor for that particular audit. Normally it is 7 years. So for the period of 7 years it has to be maintained. So these are the things that is covered under the assembly of the final audit file. So in this session, and one more thing, we'll complete the session with this. Ownership of the working file. So this is a very important question that has been tested n number of times in your exam. Ownership of working papers. Who has the ownership of working papers? So unless and otherwise specified by any law, unless there is any kind of legal obligation, the auditor is the sole owner, or auditors is a working paper is a property of the auditor. It is the property of the auditor. Since that working paper contains client information, it does not mean that it is some property of the client. It is the property of the auditor, and the auditor at his own discretion, he can make this particular working papers, extracts or part or portions of these particular working papers, make it available to the client. So it is a sole property of the particular auditor. So n number of questions comes as a form of case study. So maybe the client is asking for Xerox copies or photocopies of the particular working papers. Whether the auditor is mandated to give that, or can the particular client force the auditor to give the working papers? Since it contains client information, is it a property or is the client the owner of the working papers? N number of questions or scenarios get tested with this particular point. It is a ownership or it is a property of that particular auditor. Say for example, one real life incident happened. One of the particular articles, paid assistants, they have gone for a particular audit, and she has been working on a particular audit for a few days, and she has been checking, doing the vouching, reconciliations, all the things she has been doing. And finally, one day she actually asked for some information from the staff of that particular organization. So since she was not able to provide her with all the required information, she started drilling this girl, like, tell me what are the kind of work you have done so far. You're coming here for so many days, so now just show me what are the things you have done, then ask me for further information, I'll give you. So this girl got very upset, and what she did, it was like questioning her sincerity and the work that she has done. She at once she showed all the working papers, all the work she has done. She told, ma'am, look, I have done all these things, I've checked all these files, all these things, working, vouching has been completed, reconciliation, I am just waiting for the information for you to provide. These are the things I even noted for the audit. So the audit finally understood what are the things audit procedures that are performed, what are the evidences that are collect, what kind of report I will be giving, right? So this scenario gives the particular staff member or the particular person who is viewing the working paper, she'll get an idea about what are the things that could probably come into the report. So there could be chances of she manipulating something, right? So when we send a person for audit, we say them to do the audit properly, do the audit of procedures, do the audit of all the evidences you obtain, who is doing what kind of work you do, when are you doing the work, audit. But there's another important point, that you should not, or you are not required to part with the working papers to the client. So this working paper is your property or the property of the auditor. It is his discretion whether to show it to the particular client or not. And again, another important point, very important point is, even though the auditor has made a choice to show extracts or portions of this particular audit paper to the client, it should not in any way affect the independence. Affect the independence means what? I am showing some of the working papers to the client. On seeing the working papers, the the client understands there is something wrong and it might affect the opinion of the particular auditor. So he is trying to influence that particular auditor. So it is actually affecting his independence. So such circumstances, whenever the working paper is being parted with a particular client, should be in such a way that it should not affect the independence or undermine the validity of the work performed. So these two things has to be checked even while sharing the extracts of the working paper. So working paper, the ownership of the working paper is the auditor. Auditor, it is his right to make sure, it is his property of the working paper is a property of the auditor. It is his discretion to decide whether he has to part or he has to share extracts or portions of the working paper with the client. There is no compulsion that he should mandatorily share it with the client. Again, even if he shares portions or extract the working paper with the client, he should make sure that it does not affect the independence or undermine the validity of the work performed by the auditor. So these things has to be compulsorily taken into consideration. So in this session we covered what is audit documentation, why is it necessary, why is audit documentation necessary. Now what is the nature, content and the extent of the audit documentation, what are the factors that decide the nature, content and extent of audit documentation, what are the different types, that is electronic and the physical form audit documentation. Now working papers, we said what are working papers, what are the who has the ownership of the working papers, who maintains the custody, and what is the retention period and the assembly of the final audit file. So all these points we cover. So in the next session we will be covering what are the different types of audit documentation that is being made, what are the different kinds of working papers that are there, and what are the significant matters that has been entered into the particular documentation. So we'll see that in the next session.